All right, crew, let's get this started and then we can get to questions and good stuff. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to West Fargo, New City residents. The library is excited to offer this panel of dedicated employees across the city and the Parks Department. For all of your information, I am Kirsten Hennigan, our Adult Services Manager at the West Fargo Public Library. I'll be moderating today's panel. And before we meet our panelists, I want to give a quick introduction to why we're doing today's event and a few housekeeping items. And just so you're all aware, we are recording today's session and it will be posted on the West Fargo Public Library's YouTube page after today. So why are we doing this panel? The library is undergoing a strategic planning process, which I'm sure Carissa will give a little more info if you're curious about it. We are in the community input part of the strategic planning process, and this event is a part of that. For those of you that registered and also rose your hand to do our 30-minute interviews, thank you. That is very influential, and a part of this process is really getting all of the city's input so we can create a strategic plan that's reflective of our city's needs. And you can see that we are in that public input event part, and we have a few more steps before we get to that defined plan stage. But thank you again for taking time out of your Sunday and helping us serve the community. I also want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors. So for those of you that signed up for that 30-minute interview, you'll be entered into a raffle to win some cool prizes from local businesses that threw their name in the hat to share the awesome services and things that they provided in the city as well. Mostly food. There's a lot of food. So you're able to do a takeout or whatever you want to do for those. There's gift certificates and all kinds of things that you guys could potentially win for doing those 30-minute interviews. As for today, though, we have a few housekeeping notes. Since we're on a Zoom webinar, there's always new fun things, and always technology can go a little awry, but we're here to help you out. If you have questions around technology, use the chat feature. Things aren't working quite right, can't hear, something like that, send us a chat and we'll try to figure it out. If you have questions specifically that you'd like answered by the panelists that aren't getting covered, I do have some of those that you've emailed me your questions, as well as we have a bunch that we've pulled aside for us to cover because they're things that we get asked frequently. But send those in through the Q&A, and if your question doesn't get answered quite fully how you wanted it to, raise your hand and we can have you unmute and clarify your question as well. All right, let's get to the fun part, our panelists. So let's have each of you introduce yourselves, and we'll just go through here. Tina wasn't able to make it today, although she's listed here, but we'll just go through and have each of the panelists unmute yourselves. And Tom, you can go first.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Clark. I'm a deputy chief with the West Fargo Fire Department. Been here for about 20 years. However, in this capacity, I was just hired on this spring in March, but I am a lifelong resident of West Fargo, and so I've seen it grow and grow and grow and grow. So I'm welcome you to part of that growth, and look forward to seeing you in person or under better terms than the fire department usually sees you. So I'm glad you're here.
Katie?
Hey everybody, I am Katie Edish. I am a rec specialist with the Park District. I've been with them since 2010, so about 10 years. And as Tom mentioned, the amount of growth in this community is amazing, and it's been so fun to watch us really blossom and discover who we are. And the Parks is no different than the city. We have grown leaps and bounds, and I'm excited to tell you about some of the changes we've made and facilities that we offer for the community to use. So I can't wait.
Carissa.
Hi everybody, I'm Carissa Hansen. I'm the library director at the West Fargo Public Library. I'm first of all, welcome to West Fargo, and where we can be new together, because I'm relatively new in my position as well, and I'm relatively new to the West Fargo community. I've been in my position for just close to 1 year now. So I am excited to meet all of you and excited to see you out and about in the community and in the library. So thanks for being here today.
Okay.
Hello, Logan Jacobson. I'm the sanitation manager here with the City of West Fargo in the Public Works Department. Again, welcome everybody here who's new to the city. At some point every week, you will interact with our staff here, and we're very excited to be serving you and welcoming you in, and we're always here to answer your questions.
Dennis?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Dennis Otterness. I'm the police chief here for the city of West Fargo. And much like a couple of the other folks have mentioned, I'm relatively new here. I've been in my position for about 2 months. And so I look forward to engaging everybody this afternoon. Everybody that's new to West Fargo, this is actually my second time through with the city of West Fargo. I was initially hired here back in 1994 as a police officer for the city. So and worked till the end of '97. So really excited to be back in the community, and look forward to seeing everybody out around town. So.
Awesome. And Dustin?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Dustin Scott. I am the city engineer in West Fargo here. Like Deputy Chief Clark, I'm a lifelong resident of West Fargo and have seen the tremendous growth we've had over the past few decades, and glad to be a part of it, continuing to grow and successfully sustain a high quality of life here in West Fargo. Thanks for everyone for joining and learning more.
Awesome. Well, welcome panelists, welcome attendees. Let's jump in. I did have a few questions that came in from people that were joining us today, and I think we'll just jump off with you, Katie, and talking a little bit about the park amenities that West Fargo has, and then some COVID safety precautions that maybe that you're taking at Rusted.
Perfect. So we have several different amenities, everything from outdoor rinks, as we're going into the fall, as they're not made yet, as the temperatures cool off, we'll get those made. But from outdoor rinks and parks and baseball fields, soccer fields to in about 5 years ago, we opened Rusted Recreation Center, which is located right next to, or a couple blocks away from Costco. And it's a giant rec center that we love having. We've got 3 basketball courts, 7 volleyball courts, an indoor walking track, indoor turf, classroom spaces, all sorts of different amenities. There's no membership fee, but there is a user fee. So each time you come in to use the gyms or the turf, you can pay $3.25 and participate in our open gyms and open turf. The walking track is free for anybody to come in and use whenever they want or whenever the building's open. And then we've also been able to do all sorts of programming by having this building. We've added youth basketball, youth volleyball, adult basketball and volleyball, all sorts of different things, yoga, taekwondo. We do science classes. We do, currently, we literally have a home alone safety camp going on where we're working with the police and the fire departments and educating kids about staying home by themselves. So really all sorts of opportunities. It's not just sports that the Park District does. Rusted Rec Center is, with COVID, we all, and like everyone, we've had to make a lot of changes and adapt and pivot, and that's 2020, and we're doing it at the best that we can. When you visit Rusted Rec Center, you will be required to wear a mask, and then we are also limiting our capacity to 25% right now. So 25% of what each space typically is allowed to have. So the playground can have 20% and the gyms can have 25%, excuse me. And we, to regulate that, we have a clicker up front that we are just checking people in and in and out and doing the best we can to make sure people can still be healthy and active, but being safe and wise about it at the same time.
I think everybody can relate to the COVID somersaults you have to do in order to offer services at this time.
Yes.
It's a bit challenging for everybody involved. Yeah. Next question, let's go over to you, Krista. Where is the West Fargo Public Library, and is it connected to the Fargo library systems?
Oh, that's a good question. So the West Fargo Public Library is, our address is 215 3rd Street East. So we are on the north side of town. If you know where Main Avenue is or 4th Avenue is, we're just a few blocks off of either of those. We are our own library. We are not connected to the Fargo Public Library. So we are a department of the City of West Fargo. That said, libraries in the FM area we work really closely with all of our partner libraries in Moorhead and Fargo. People who live in Fargo can get West Fargo Public Library cards if they get their home library cards first, and vice versa. So West Fargo residents can also get cards at the Fargo Library and Moorhead Library if you get your home library card, West Fargo Public Library first. So we work really closely together. We are our own unique library and work to serve the residents of West Fargo specifically. So
Awesome. Dustin, I'm hoping you can answer this question. It came in from Phil, who's one of our attendees, and he was curious about how speed limits in town are determined, and specifically the speed limit on Cheyenne, where there's more new construction, and continuing south, it appears that there's more of that 40 to 45 miles per hour due to the 3 lanes, as well as controlled intersections. But curious how speed limits are defined in the city.
Well, it's a great question. Generally, speed limits are designed or are part of the design of a roadway. Cheyenne Street specifically was a cooperation partnership with the North Dakota Department of Transportation. I don't want to bore everybody with a lot of the finite details, but there are a lot of design elements that are considered in things like sight distance. Are drivers able to easily see and detect pedestrians and then have enough time to react accordingly to make changes? You know, if an object were to come into their path, can they react in time to safely navigate around that? There's things like the curvature of the road, the elevation changes of the road. So a lot of influences that will go into basically establishing a safe design speed. And so with Cheyenne Street, based on a few of the parameters, the speed limit was set at 35 miles per hour. And again, that was also in coordination with the Department of Transportation, and we're adhering to some of their standards and federal standards, being that it was a federally funded project. Albeit it is a wider corridor, so naturally people want to travel faster, but that doesn't necessarily mean we want to raise the speed limit and compromise the safety and integrity of that roadway. There are many of other factors I could certainly get into, but I'll try to leave it as brief as that.
I was also very curious when he emailed that question. I was like, I have no idea how that works. So I got to learn something new too. Next question is for Chief Otterness. So West Fargo has been named the safest city in North Dakota for 2 years in a row now. What is the police department focusing and prioritizing on the efforts of reducing crime in the city, and maybe some goals or projects that you guys are working on?
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah, very honored to have that designation. Not only that, but also named the 23rd best city in the country to live recently. So clearly a great community. And so there's a lot of things that go into that have to kind of come together to be able to get those kind of, I guess, recognition. So number one, we have to have a really strong partnership with our community. So not only across our city government, all the partnerships that we have and kind of corroboration that we have and collaboration on different projects, but really it starts at the community level because we can't obviously police on our own without the community's help. And obviously the community relies on us for a lot of different things. So it's a great partnership, and it's, you know, it starts with our elected officials. It starts with the school district, the great partnership that we have there with our school resource officer program. That's one of our great programs that we have in the city of West Fargo, also receiving national recognition recently for that. So from the National Association of School Resource Officers. So there's a lot of great programs that help us really engage and be active out in the community. Some of those, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've had to postpone or cancel, but we do a lot of things to try to stay engaged with the community, and those all impact our crime, our crime prevention efforts. So like our Night to Unite. We have a chaplains program. We've got a citizens police academy, a lot of different things where we're trying to partner with the community. So, and on top of that, we're strategic about kind of how we deploy our resources. So we do a lot of intelligence-based or intelligence-led policing, and how we deploy our resources. We are constantly working with our law enforcement partners throughout the metro area here with Fargo PD, Moorhead PD, the sheriff's offices, the highway patrol, and our federal partners to make sure that that what we're doing is really intelligence based, and so it's complaint driven a lot of times, and it's based on different intelligence things that we have by partnering with our law enforcement, our other law enforcement partners in the area. So, but again, you know, the hard work and dedication of all the staff at the police department is fantastic, but really it boils down to a really strong partnership with the community. So.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. We just got a question in via chat. I hope Dustin can answer this one. I think it's more in your bucket. How do you assess real estate tax rates in West Fargo? It seems that West Fargo has a much higher real estate tax than neighboring Fargo. Thanks. I'm not sure if that falls in your bucket or not.
No, I'm sorry. I don't deal much with property taxes and valuations of that nature. That'd be our assessing department. I'm sure if Tina were on, she could probably help answer that. The engineering department is certainly involved with special assessments, which is a different form of financing projects. But in terms of real estate taxes, that's not something I can help answer.
Sure. Well, why don't we just talk about, there was another question around special assessments and the efforts of how we do special assessments in the city of West Fargo. Phil had another question specifically around how special assessments affect developers versus the residents, and how that falls maybe more in the public sector than the private sector, and how that balance is maintained. Can you just talk a little bit more about how special assessments work, sort of the decisions behind that, and what goes into those sorts of things?
Absolutely. I'll try to give a real brief Cliff Notes version. It's certainly a complicated topic, and it's been at the forefront of a lot of our involvement in terms of facilitating improvement projects. So special assessments, well, first of all, I do want to point out on our website, there is more in-depth information available. Back in 2019, we did host a series of public forums where we held special meetings with the public to engage them and educate on special assessments and what they are. So I'd certainly encourage anybody out there to get onto the city's website and try to find some more information. But at its very basic, it's basically a way to finance improvement projects where we do have sales tax available to help finance improvements. Special assessments are around to, basically it's a type of a tax where based on the benefiting parties of an improvement. So if we're talking a roadway like Cheyenne Street, we have a benefiting area that is relatively large, and versus a project like a private development where it's a really small benefiting area. But at the end of the day, only those within that benefiting area will be special assessed or receive a special assessment. And again, it's a way to finance those improvements, specifically because the city doesn't have the type of revenue and other sources. So things like our water and sewer rates or other sales tax revenues, that there's just not enough of that to pay for or finance all of the improvements associated with the growth that we currently experience, and along with growth, there's also just upkeeping our current and existing infrastructure. So, but again, special assessments are a very complicated process. They do have there is a special assessment commission that reviews each and every district that is created. The city commission has a very extensive process. So, you know, before we create a district, the city commission is reviewing that and authorizing it. As it relates to developers and whether or not they pay for these improvements, well, the developer generally owns the property. So yes, they are paying their special assessments until they sell their property. And so in a development, they generally will subdivide it, and there'll be, you know, what started out as 20 acres, one parcel is now 80 parcels, you know, single family lots. And as they sell those off, then the residents that are buying those will inherit those special assessments along with the other property taxes that are tied to that lot. So, but again, special assessments are basically, it's a financing mechanism for the city to complete infrastructure projects, and they are spread to those that are in a defined area of benefit for those improvements. So those that are using the water, sewer, streets will be charged what's known as a special assessment. Again, there's more in-depth information on our website. I'm sure there's other sources of information out there. So if anyone's interested, certainly read up on some of that on our website.
Awesome, thanks. It is a big topic to cover in a short amount of time. Let's go to Logan. If I'm a new resident in the city of West Fargo, how do I find out when my recycling day is and what can I actually recycle?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are excellent questions. That's very close to home to every new resident. When am I going to get my garbage and recycling cans? Because you first move into a new place, if it's an older home that's been there for a while, that previously was lived in, you should already have a recycling and a garbage cart at your location. If you're a new home, a new build, those will be delivered after you have registered for utilities. So I would assume everybody on here hopefully has gotten one and has it. If you're looking to find out what day you have for your recycling or for your garbage, you can find that out on our website. So if you go to westfargond.gov, there's a tab on the side for sanitation. If you select that, you'll be able to see that when it comes up, there's a sanitation recycling zones heading. And clicking on that, you can get a PDF that'll show you a map. For recycling, it's every other week. So there's green and gold you'll see on the map. And you just have to look at below that, there's a calendar that shows everything in green and gold. So you can associate your day with the area on the map you're in, and then with what week is gold or what week is green. So you know what week you're going to be having that service. As far as what can be recycled, a lot of things go in the recycling that may not be able to be recycled. As far as plastics go, know that plastic bags are not recyclable. That's a big one since a lot of grocery stores have stopped accepting those. But plastics 1 through 6, which is mainly your bottles, water bottles, food bottles, containers, as long as they're clean, they can be recycled. If we're not cleaning them, then they really just throw them in the trash because they have to be clean to be recycled. Newspapers, junk mail, all those things can go in your recycling. So also cardboard, absolutely. And as it gets close to Christmas, just remember, if you want to recycle your Christmas wrapping paper, as long as it doesn't have glitter and all sorts of sequins and things on it, if you fold it, it will get recycled. If you crinkle it up, that will end up going to a landfill later after sorting. So to be sure that you're going to have it recycled, make sure you fold that wrapping paper. Is there anything I missed from that question?
No, but I feel like you just dissed my favorite kind of wrapping paper. I love the stuff with the glitter.
Well, it's great. It just can't be
bad
recycled.
about it getting recycled. Let's go over to Deputy Fire Chief Clark. Can you tell us about some of the community programs the fire department offers, like the Adopt a Fire Hydrant or the youth fire setting and intervention programs that you offer?
Yeah, currently we just have fired up again the Adopt a Hydrant program. We're really excited about that. What you do with that, you can go to our website again and look on there and tap on the Adopt a Hydrant icon. And then you pick the hydrant that you'll come up with a GIS map, and you can find all the hydrants in the city on that map. You pick the one normally closest to your home or business, and you can adopt that hydrant. In doing so, we ask that you keep a 3-foot perimeter around the fire hydrant, clear of snow and ice, and then make it access out to the street. And a lot of people with very good intentions will clear the 3-foot diameter, but we still can't get to the street, and that's where the truck will be, and that we have to hook up to the hydrant. So if you can, you keep that 3-foot perimeter, and then access to the street is very helpful. One thing that we're doing with that is once a month, we will review the names of the hydrants. As you adopt a hydrant, you can name that hydrant for your group or your family or whatever, and we'll be reviewing those to find the most unique of that month, and then that person will be sent a $25 gift card. So we're trying to make it fun and help the fire department at the same time. We're also, you mentioned the Juvenile Fire Setters program, and they've set that up to help juveniles that start fires, and it oftentimes becomes, a curiosity, and they're doing that in conjunction with the Fargo Fire Department, and the West Fargo Police Youth have helped do that. And what they do is they meet with them and try counsel them, and then get them to further counseling to help curb that activity, that type of thing. But so those are a couple of the things that we're very actively doing. And the other thing is, without, because of COVID, we cannot get into the schools, but every year our community risk reduction guys get into the schools and meet with the children and hand out different pamphlets and stuff, and just try to educate those. We do daycare inspections to make sure that they are following all the fire department rules. Another thing we just, not just started, but we have car seat inspections for people to hook up car seats correctly and to have their children protected as much as possible. If you want to use that service, we do ask that you call in advance and get that set up, so we know that somebody will be there to help you out. But those are just a few of the things that we do in the community to help out.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing those. Katie, let's go to you. When and how can I sign up for West Fargo Parks programs, and are there fees associated with those?
Yeah, great question. We, as I mentioned before, have all sorts of different programming available. We put out a booklet. Typically, we put out a booklet twice a year, one in the spring, summer, and then one in the fall, winter. And due to COVID this year, we went to just a digital book, trying to, live with COVID, right? So our activity guide is what we call them, and it's actually published on our website, wfparks.org. And we have programs ranging from $10 to team programs, like an adult volleyball league is like $300. So price range varies quite a bit depending upon what you're doing. But we do our best effort to just cover the cost of the event or the program, and not try to make money off of them. And again, those are all listed at wfparks.org. You can view them, and you can also register online for programs there. Typically, we also do community events, but again, with COVID, we're not doing those right now. But those was what I was heavily involved in. We would do different things, such as having a band out in the park, and have pony rides and inflatable games and all those fun things. So we're really looking forward to that next summer. In January, we're planning for some events too, and all of that is listed on a special events calendar on our website also.
Awesome. Carissa, I think most people are familiar with libraries in that they have books and stuff and things that you can take and borrow. But what does the library do in addition to lending items?
That is an awesome question. So in addition to lending items, we have tons of programs and events for people of all ages. Gosh, in the last year alone, even during COVID, when we needed to stop having in-person events and we moved everything to a virtual format, we've had everything from cooking classes to crafting classes to programs to help kids learn STEM and literacy skills, to social and hobby clubs, to trivia events, author talks, different speakers, writing classes with local instructors. So programming and events and connecting people to other experts and presenters that help them learn things and help them accomplish various goals is a big part of what we do. In addition to that, we also, in the library and also remotely via phone and email, we help people with a whole variety of questions. And it could be anything from, where can I find this tax form, to can you help me look for a job, to can you help me access my email? I need books on reptiles. So we answer a huge variety of questions, helping people with a ton of different various interests and goals. Beyond that, we are a community hub for people to come and meet friends and family and socialize and study together and be together. We have meeting rooms available to reserve, not currently during COVID, but typically we do. So we are a place where no matter what goal you have or interest you have or curiosity you have, we are here to help you with it. So bring it to us, tell us about it, and we will find the right resource, program, or person for you. So yeah, books are an important part of what we do at the library, but certainly one aspect of many things.
Selfish plug, because I do programming at the library, so yay. Let's go to Chief Otterness. I think I've gotten this question asked to me when I was in college, when you're new to a community, because I moved here for college, but there are a few different ways to contact the police. What are some basic rules of when I should use 911 versus maybe the tip line or then the non-emergency line when contacting the police?
Sure, that's a great question. And, again, going back to your first question about, what do we do to try to curb crime and have, the tag the safest city in North Dakota. And we really rely on the community and our community members, our business partners and residents to be the eyes and ears out in the community. So anytime that you need to contact the police department and probably the fire department or EMS and ambulance, 911 is obviously going to be the quickest and easiest number to remember. So anytime that you need medical services, police services, things like that, fire department services, 911 is obviously the preferred method to get in touch with the Red River Valley Regional Dispatch Center. So one of the things, if you're new to the community and on here, that you might not realize is that we have a combined regional dispatch center. So we have combined dispatch services for West Fargo Police, Cass County, Clay County, Moorhead, and then all the fire departments too. And in addition to a lot of the rural fire departments. So all those calls come into one regional dispatch center. So that's obviously the easiest way to contact us or get request services. I guess the non-emergency numbers might be for if you just have a question about, where you might want to be able to just leave a message or ask for an officer to contact you if you've got something that you're just not sure about in terms of, maybe some interpretation of a law, or you want to find out if you can park your vehicle on the street for an extended period of time. Or if you are, moving in, can I park my moving truck on the street for a couple of nights and not have to worry about being cited for a violation of where the truck is parked or the amount of time. So things like that would be more appropriate for the non-emergency line. I think you mentioned too that we've got a tip line. So if there's things that are going on in your neighborhood that you're concerned about, there's ways to report those things anonymously. And of course, a few other folks have mentioned it too. We've got a very interactive and active website for the West Fargo Police Department. So again, accessible through westfargond.gov. And so, if there's things that you're curious about, different programs that we offer, when we might offer them, different services that we offer, those are all available on the website as well. So.
Awesome, that's helpful. Logan, let's go to you. We talked a little bit about what's recyclable. Now, if I wanted to put something extra on my curb on my trash day, will I be charged for that? And also, what do you not collect via curbside?
Good questions. A lot of communities do charge for extra items on the curb. West Fargo is not one of those. You are able to, if you have a few extra bags, just go ahead and set them next to your can 3 feet away. And we send another truck around to pick up those items. You could put a couch out, you could put a bed out, and we will pick those up, and it's no additional charge. The one thing that you will get charged for that's on the curb is appliances. For every appliance, there is a $10 recycling fee associated with that, and that will be added to your utility bill. We all like to say that if you don't want to wait for your garbage day for those items to be removed, our transfer station, which is at 1620 Main Avenue North. So if you ever heard of where Bonanzaville is, it's directly north of Bonanzaville. You can bring items there during open times, which is Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 3:30 and Saturdays from 9 to 1. And that's also free for West Fargo residents to use. The appliance recycling fee will still be enforced there when you drop off an appliance. What we don't pick up, hazardous waste. So that could be in electronics. Those have to be recycled over at the Fargo Household Hazardous Waste Facility, along with any paints, stains, gas, oil, car batteries. Those types of items we don't pick up curbside. Those have to be taken to that special facility, and the Fargo Household Hazardous Waste Facility serves all of Cass County. So that's where all those items end up going.
That's good to know. I think that's a really cool service that so many things can be picked up, be curbside, and not have an additional fee associated with them. So perks of West Fargo. Dustin, let's go over to you. What are some of the larger upcoming infrastructure projects in the city of West Fargo?
Oh, great question. Thank you. Well, we recently wrapped up the Cheyenne Street project, which was probably the largest undertaking the city has been involved with in several years, if ever. Next year, we have a continuation of a Cheyenne Street project, but it is in our downtown area. It's between Main Avenue and 7th Avenue, where we're going to be looking to reconstruct that. We need to get new underground infrastructure in there, as well as we're going to be doing what's known as a road diet, where we're going to shrink up the road, but I don't want to scare people in that we're going to have under capacity there. We're going to more or less transform it into what's actually already been taking place in some of the newer developments that have occurred in front of the Cheyenne Plaza and Pioneer Place, where we can add on-street parking, basically give it a facelift, but at the same time, we are going to reduce the overall widths. And so part of the intent with that is to accommodate more pedestrian activities, make it a little more safe, as well as enhance the aesthetic appeal of being downtown. So I'd say that's one of our largest projects for next year. We do have some other infrastructure projects that are pretty important to us. We have some water distribution lines that we're going to get installed to help with the growing demand of our water system, make sure we have adequate fire flows, so on and so forth, as well as we are hoping to maybe start phase 1 of decommissioning our lagoons. The city of West Fargo has forever been relying upon wastewater stabilization ponds, known as lagoons, on the north side of town. If you've been here in the spring, there's a period of a few weeks there where we have some certainly unfriendly smells that come with the thawing of those lagoons. And so we're pretty excited to tackle decommissioning these lagoons. A couple of years ago, we made a connection, a sewer connection, to allow us the ability to send the city of Fargo all of our wastewater. And so that's going to provide us the opportunity now to slowly decommission our lagoons, and looking forward to get starting on that. But from a transportation perspective, probably our biggest impact is going to be in that downtown area of next year.
Awesome, that's exciting. Let's go to Deputy Fire Chief Clark. thinking about potentially some of the new homeowners on the webinar today, what can new homeowners do to prevent fires at home? And maybe some of what are the, I don't know, more common types of fires that West Fargo has or sees at homes?
Well, one of the things you can do is have your furnace checked annually by a certified technician. Keep all the flammable, gases and things out of your utility room and away from your furnace. You really should store those type of things in the garage in a metal cabinet if possible. And make sure that you have an adequate amount and operating smoke alarms and CO2 detectors. It cannot be overstated for smoke alarms. It's rather self-explanatory. But also CO2 detectors is a vital tool within your home. So those are a couple of the other things that you can do. Don't discard any hot ashes if you have a wood burner, in your garbage can, or in the past, we've had fireworks around the 4th of July be picked up, put into a garbage can, and then that garbage can stored in the garage. At some point, it flares back up, and we certainly don't want that to happen. Right now, we're concentrating on, we have a posting and on the web site is deck fires. And if you're going to smoke and you go out to your deck, and that's certainly more prevalent now, and as it gets colder, you step outside to do that, you need to have proper disposal of those cigarette butts. And ideally that would be in a can full of water. And what often happens is we find that you'll put them in a flower pot or a plastic bucket or something like that. Even a plastic bucket with sand in it, it starts to fill up, and then those cigarettes will or can potentially start the bucket on fire. That starts the siding on fire, and then the deck, and we're just all into that type of situation. So we can't stress enough that if you're going to partake in a cigarette outside, dispose of your cigarettes in a proper manner. Put them underwater. That's the best thing you can do.
Safety first.
Yes.
Katie, let's go to you. We did get a question in from one of the attendees about indoor facilities and what you can use in those facilities. For example, they had asked, can my child ride a Strider bike indoors during the winter?
Unfortunately, we don't have anywhere like that right now. We have the walking tracks here at Rusted and then one at the Veterans Memorial Arena, but Strider bikes aren't allowed, no rollerblades, no sort of bike at all. Strollers are welcome to be out on the tracks, but nothing like that.
Awesome, thank you. Carissa, let's go to you. If I'm a new resident of West Fargo or even Fargo or Moorhead, can I get a library card for free, and how do I get one?
Absolutely, yes. So if you are a new West Fargo resident, actually, if you live within the boundaries of the West Fargo School District, you can get a West Fargo Public Library card completely for free. And there's a couple simple ways to do that. One is that you can apply online for a library card. If you go to westfargolibrary.org, we have several links that say get a library card. So if you click on one of those, you type in some information about yourself, and then we will actually mail a card directly to you. So you do not have to visit us in person to get a library card. And even if you got the card at home, you could then just automatically start having access to a whole myriad of online resources, including ebooks, e-audiobooks, online music and movies and things like that. But you can also come into the library and apply, and you can still currently do that. We are currently open by appointment at this point in time due to COVID, but you can come on in and apply as well. When you come in, we just ask that you have ready and with you a photo ID and any form of proof of your current address. So yep, the cards are completely free. And a great thing that we started this year is we went completely fine free. So you do not have to worry about accruing any late fines of any sort on your items. So that is not something that you need to worry about when you check out items from us. Obviously, we want those items back, but this gives everybody more leeway for all the things that happen in life. So yeah, so visit our website. There's more information about how to get library cards. And like I said, you can apply online and we can send you a card directly to you. So.
Awesome. It's always fun signing up new people for library cards. Let's go to Chief Otternace. Some of our new residents may have pets. If somebody's pet goes missing, will the police department help them find their pet?
We will, and not only will we maybe help out a little bit with that as resources allow, obviously, but if you happen to have a stray animal in the area too, we do have community service officers that work a variety of different shifts and hours and stuff. So a lot of times we're able to reunite pets with their owners. And in the times that we don't have a CSO working, that would come out and kind of take care of our, I guess, our animal related duties, and our patrol officers will respond as well. Again, as resources allow. So obviously our other emergency calls would take priority over some things like that, but we do provide those services for the city.
Do residents need to register or like get a permit for having a pet?
Pet licenses? Well, we don't. I mean, we don't necessarily license pets, but we do. I mean, we do. You know, obviously we provide all the other services. So no, we don't do pet licenses.
Awesome, good to know. Let's see. Let's go to. We got answered all of our attendee questions. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to chat them in or put them into the Q&A. I know I have plenty of other questions we can fill our time with, but if there's questions you specifically have, feel free to chat those in. We're happy to answer those. Let's go to Deputy Fire Chief Clark. What types of permits do new residents need to be aware of in the city of West Fargo as it relates to fires, fireworks, or burning within the city limits?
Fireworks is allowed, and maybe Chief Otternace can tap in on this. Fireworks currently, you can light off within the city limits July 4th from 8 a.m. to midnight, and on December 31st from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. I don't know if they're revamping that or not, but you currently are allowed to do that within the city, and you do not need a permit to that. If you want to light fireworks outside those two dates, you need to get that permitted. You can have a open fire pit at your home. There are regulations for that, and I, amongst everybody here, has been referring to our web pages, and that really does give you access to a lot of information. And the rules are all listed there for the fire pits and what you're allowed to do. And I guess I'd ask Chief Otternace about that fireworks thing. Do you know anything different than that?
I don't know anything different than that, but I should clarify on the last one on the pet licenses. So I was just looking on our website, again, a great resource for people. And there is an ability to get your pets licensed in the city of West Fargo, but you have to bring in some specifics as far as rabies vaccinations and different things like that to the police department. And our support specialists will help you at the front counter to take care of that. So one of the new things I learned today, having not been the police chief for very long here in West Fargo, so we do offer that service. But no, you're spot on. I think, Chief, with the fireworks program.
So that's really, any large fires won't be permitted within the city limits, but within the fire district, you need to get those permitted if you're going to have a large brush burn. Not within the city limits. I don't think that would be allowed. So those are really the only permits that we have.
Awesome. The more you know. Dustin, let's go to you. I feel like most city residents maybe don't have all the time of a city engineer or be able to ask them specific questions. So what are the main responsibilities of a city engineer?
Certainly. Well, our primary focus is certainly the health and integrity, health and safety of our residents, businesses, and then also the integrity of our infrastructure. A large portion of our time is spent managing the infrastructure projects that we are planning with in coordination with all of the other departments. We generally have more of a technical responsibility to adhere to our own standards as well as the state and federal standards to ensure that the infrastructure is properly constructed. So that is one of our primary focuses. Again, is managing that infrastructure. We also regulate the activities in our right of way from a private perspective. So it might be something as simple as a homeowner wanting to install sprinkler lines out and into the boulevard. We would review and permit that activity. And it could be something as complex as, a new box commercial facility like a Costco. We would certainly be involved with that activity as well, and things like managing, the private utility companies, gas, electrical stuff. So we predominantly are focused on our own infrastructure, but we again are also reviewing and inspecting some of that private work that is done in our community as well.
Cool. More you know. Life and times of a city engineer. Katie, let's go to you. So say I had signed up for a parks program and it's winter, it's COVID, things are changing. How does somebody stay in the know of West Fargo Park programs and cancellations?
Yeah, so that's a great question because we all get to deal with winter weather. And even in the summer, we have summer weather with the outdoor programming with rain and whatnot. We have a cancellation line that is updated when programs get canceled. And that phone number is, oh goodness, it's 701-551-7138. It's listed at the bottom of our website. In addition to that, we, depending on the severity of the storm, if we're closing down a building like Rested or the Vets Arena, that'll be posted on our website and also on our Facebook page. But in the summer, we don't tend to post it because it just gets to be too much at that point. So we always strongly encourage people to check that cancellation line before heading out. Warming houses are also sometimes closed because of too cold of weather. So always make sure you just give that phone number a call before you head out.
So that's helpful. Logan, you talked about the transfer station and what people can have collected curbside, but where are also those compost drop sites, especially when you think about the end of the summer, fall leaves, and Christmas trees as well as we head into that season. What can people take there?
Well, that's something that I did miss earlier. The city does not collect yard waste curbside. So leaves, grass in the spring, pumpkins, things like that should be brought to our compost sites. The city provides those at 4 different locations. You can find one just south of Main Avenue on 17th Street over, that's kind of on the east side of town. Our sanitation building at 117 8th Street West. Underneath the water tower, you'll find another location. And if you're down south on some of those newer developments, you'll find that at 40th and Cheyenne Street, underneath the water tower, there's another site there. And the transfer station is the 4th site where you're able to take your compost currently for a drop off. Those are open 24/7 during the season. Currently, they're still open. We still have people that haven't gotten the leaves off the ground. We still have those open and available. As far as Christmas trees go, there is some dates put online of when we'll accept those shortly after the season ends, after New Year's, I believe. And they go through, you put them on the curb, make sure it's only on your day. And if they're up on top of a snowbank or something, we're not going to climb up and get them. And usually at that time, the snow gets piled high. Make sure that our guys will be able to pick those up from your driveway and not up on top of a snowbank, or we won't be able to take those. The other thing, you mentioned brush fires, something that people can't really do in town. Well, there's also no real reason for people to need to do that because the city will collect your branches curbside from your property during the summer. That starts up in May and runs through October. We send around a truck to pick up piles of brush that you have out on the boulevard on your garbage day. So please keep that in mind as well, as that's another service that the city offers that's included with your normal services.
Yeah, we don't want trees staked into a snow pile like a flag on the moon. That doesn't really help us out. Carissa, what kind of technology can I use in the library and also check out? You talked about ebooks and some of those other things, but what are technology pieces that people can use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the library, we have a myriad of technology that people can use for free. So we have computer access, Wi-Fi, printing, scanning, copying, faxing. For checkout, you can actually check out and bring home with you iPads, tablets for kids. So they come preloaded with literacy and STEM activities. And then we also have mobile Wi-Fi hotspots. So if you're going on a trip or if you don't have in-home internet access, you can check out a mobile Wi-Fi hotspot and you can have it for up to 3 weeks and you can have Wi-Fi wherever you are. So we have items for use in the library and for checkout. And Kirsten, you mentioned ebooks. Other aspect of technology that folks should know about is we have other online resources too. In addition to ebook resources, we have, if you have a library card, you have free access to things like consumer reports. So that's a resource that has consumer reviews of many different products, which is very, very helpful as we head into the holidays. We have people with library cards also get free access to online test prep resources. So many careers have standardized tests and high school students take a lot of standardized tests. We have free resources to help people prepare for those. We have online resume builders. We have access to resources that have crafting tutorials. So we have a whole myriad of online resources in addition to ebooks and e-audiobooks. And so get a library card and start digging into that. And we're certainly here to help you too. There's something for everybody. And so call us, email us, and let us know what you need and how we can help.
I don't think you mentioned one, but one I'm excited about that you can do at home now, not just in the library, is Ancestry.com, library edition. So typically before, it was only offered in library, but now you can, with your library card, access that at home and do family history stuff because you're all gonna be stuck at home together. So take a look at your genealogy and family history together.
I knew I was like missing an awesome thing to mention, so thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Ancestry. You can use it at home.
It's pretty cool. So we have just a minute left. I would like to just quick hop over to a few reminders before we hop off today. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of our panelists and our attendees for joining us on a Sunday. Thanks for carving out an hour of your day to hang out with us. We are happy to have you and excited to share a little bit more about all of our different departments and the things that we offer. But I want to also take you back to our library strategic planning page. You can check out on the westfargolibrary.org website as we update and change and sort of dive into different parts of the strategic planning process to see what's happening and kind of where we are with that. But also want to say a big thank you to our sponsors for the prizes and things for those that are going to be doing those 30-minute interviews. We're excited to share more about the library and continue to grow with our strategic planning process. But thanks again, panelists and attendees. Have a great rest of your Sunday and stay warm because it's kind of cold out.
Thanks everybody.